Okie dokie, we should be live. We should be live. Yeah, I thought I'd fire one up. I've not done one of these in a little while. So let's have a chat. Any topics are open. Any topics are, there to be discussed. Boxing, non-boxing, I don't really care. Quite frankly, I don't really care. But yeah, I mean, this weekend in regards to boxing, not particularly strong. Decent fight in the UK at domestic level between Chris Billum-Smith and Isaac Chamberlain. That's a good cruiserweight fight. The undercard isn't too strong though, but you do have a debut of Ben Whittaker, Olympic silver medalist. He's campaigning at light heavyweight, so that'll be interesting. But not a particularly strong card apart from the main event. And in the USA, of course, we have Danny Garcia versus Jose Benavidez. That's at 154. Now, I think Danny Garcia wins that fight, don't get me wrong. But, Danny Garcia's not a 154 pounder. I think he'll really struggle in that weight class. I do like Danny Garcia. I like him more than most people do. But, he's not a 154 pounder. It's just that simple. And on that undercard, you have Adam Kalnacki versus Alan Aaron Demarieson. That's a pretty good heavyweight fight. That could go either way. Both aggressive heavyweights, kind of overweight. Both guys come forwards, both throw a lot of punches. That should be a good fight. Gary Antoine Russell in a step up against Rances Barthélemy. I hope Gary Antoine Russell destroys Barthélemy. I'm sick of seeing Barthélemy, to be honest. The guy's about as entertaining as, well, you name it. He's not entertaining at all. Big up to Lee Talks Boxing. But yeah, hopefully Gary Antoine Russell gets rid of Rances Barthélemy so we never have to see him again. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Billum-Smith versus Isaac Chamberlain. That's a good fight. That's a good domestic fight. I think Chamberlain's actually a better boxer, but Chris Billum-Smith is much more physically strong. He's much more robust, got more heart, I would say. More power as well. So, I mean, that could go either way. Chris Billum-Smith versus Isaac Chamberlain. That could go either way, in my opinion. Good fight, though. Good fight. Good fight. I might even do a post-fight review for it if I see it live. How about that? Big up to Randy Orton as well. Salute to Randy. I want to see the two UK cards. Probably going to watch the Channel 5 card as it's easier to watch than a stream. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Josh Kelly's fighting on Channel 5 against some Argentinian, I believe. At least it's good that Josh Kelly's staying active. There's that. What are your thoughts on ID boxing? Hopefully they're impartial. Sick of seeing biased coverage. IFL coverage of Dubois loss, for example, compared to when Billy Joe lost to Canelo. Yeah, fingers crossed. But, when it comes to boxing, these sort of journalists, they have to toe the line because they're not going to get interviews. So I'm not really expecting too much. I do like Rob Tebbett, who's behind that channel, but there's only so much you can say if you're out here interviewing people in boxing. I don't think it will happen, bro. Maybe now that Andrade's left Eddie Hearn and DAZN, maybe now, but I can't really see it, to be honest. Can't really see it. I was listening to Isaac Chamberlain on Talk Shit, and he was extremely confident and up for the fight against Billum-Smith. For me, much stronger and might bully him Fury Wilder 2 style. Do you mean Billum-Smith might bully Isaac Chamberlain? Yeah, he might do. He is a strong dude, yeah. I think Chamberlain's a better boxer, but yeah, Billum-Smith is more robust. What's up, man? The Sit Down, a Mafia History podcast. Big up to yourself, man. Hopefully you're keeping well. Salute Del. I think I'm going to roll with Demarieson to beat Kalnacki, as I reckon Hellenius snatched his soul. That could be a good bet. I'd be interested to see the bookies' odds for that fight. I'd be very interested. I heard about that. Yeah, rumors about DAZN putting Canelo Golovkin 3 on UK pay-per-view. Well, if they do that, nobody's going to buy it because it's that stupid o'clock in the morning. I don't think they will, man. Hopefully not, because they said it's going to be on regular TV or regular DAZN. I think even when that fight was first announced, Eddie made a point that in the UK it's going to be on regular DAZN. I'm not really familiar with US sports, to be honest with you. If I had to pick one, I'd probably lean towards NFL. No, sorry, NHL. Sorry, hockey. I probably would watch hockey if I have, if I was in America, just because there's sometimes some fights, there's a bit of action, but I'm not really exposed to US sports all that much. I don't really see much of it. Funny how Troy Williamson is calling out Josh Kelly. He's literally calling out every UK-based 154 fighter apart from Liam Smith. He knows Smith would beat him. I think you're right. Lee. Liam Smith is above domestic level. He may not be quite world level, but he's certainly fringe world level. And maybe, at worst, European level. Do you know what I mean? So he knows what he's doing, Lee. He knows what he's doing. I think he realizes that. Liam Smith is well above his stations right now, and probably always will be. To be honest, probably always will be. One second, guys. Let me just do something ever so quickly. There you go. Right, where were we? Looking at that guy's record, Josh Kelly could lose. To be honest, those Argentinians are not to be messed with. Yeah, when it comes to these unknown Argentinian fighters, they're either complete shit or they're a diamond in the rough. There's no in between. So you might be right. I'd probably still take Josh Kelly. I think they'll be careful with his matchmaking, to be honest with you. So I'm taking Josh Kelly, but you never know. It's a good point. Like the guy who came over to fight Lewis Ritson, Ponce. I mean, nobody was really expecting too much from him, were they? And we saw what happened. You know? Where were we? I've got like a million things open in the background. I apologize, guys. Do you think F.A. Ajagba can do anything at heavyweight, or did you think? Yeah, I thought he would do better than he did. But having said that, I was picking Frank Sanchez to beat him. I just think that was a really bad style matchup for him, to be honest. You get him in there with another stationary type of heavyweight, he's always got a chance because he hits hard. But against what's his chops? Against Sanchez, his style was just wrong for F.A. Ajagba. His style was just wrong. Trying to do 5 things at once here. I'm a bit behind. Sorry. This is what happens when you're not prepared. Fail to prepare, prepare to fail, as the old saying goes. Right. Has Probellum done a deal with Wasserman? A lot of Probellum fighters on the card this weekend. I thought they'd been blacklisted from all of UK TV. Yeah, the whole situation's bizarre, Randy Orton. I'd say they are still Probellum, but they're not Probellum, if that makes sense. They probably hooked something so they can get away with it and get their fighters active. It's really strange what's going on right now. How do you rate Danny Garcia's career? Do you think he's achieved as much as he can in boxing? Pretty much at this point, yeah. He's still a relatively big name, so he might have one more big fight in him. But ultimately, he's pretty much done. He's pretty much done at the elite level, in my opinion. And at 154, he's not a 154 fighter by any means. He's not a 154 fighter. You know. Oh, he's going to struggle. He's going to struggle. But he's had a good career, Danny Garcia. We can't say he's had a bad career. He's had a good career. Hrgovic versus Zhili Zhang. I've never seen a Chinese heavyweight before. Yeah, he's going to get smashed in that fight. Zhili Zhang can punch. He's a southpaw. He's big, but he's super slow. Defensively, pretty poor. And I think he's going to get squashed by Hrgovic. Hrgovic is too young, too fresh, too good, too powerful. Yeah, I mean, he's got that body type, hasn't he? That lanky kind of body type, and usually those sort of guys don't have the best of chins. I know there's the odd exception, but usually those sort of lanky, lean, tall, super tall guys for a weight class don't have good chins. It tends to be the way, so you might be right. I think you might be right. Big up to yourself, Contacto. Salute. How you doing, man? Hopefully you're keeping well on this fine Friday. Hopefully you're keeping well. Right, what am I going to do? How the fuck? I'm in another chat. How do you pin a comment? One second, guys. I'm being an absolute waste man. Hang on. There you go. Boom. Right, where were we? Sorry about that, guys. I'm being fucking rude. Kelly Pavlik was the exception to the lanky bad chin stereotype. Yeah, he had a good chin, Kelly Pavlik. He could take a shot. Was he ever down in his career? I don't recall he was. I can't recall whether he was or not, Kelly Pavlik. He had a good chin, though, and he had power as well, Kelly Pavlik. He's another guy, though. He should have done a lot more with his career, man. Really good boxer, puncher, hit hard, pretty aggressive, good chin, like you said. Kelly Pavlik should have done more, but his demons just got the better of him, like so many fighters before him and after. It's one of those. Oh, yeah, he was down against Jermaine Taylor, yeah. That first Jermaine Taylor fight was sick, man. Great fight. Sky have pushed the pay-per-view price up once again, and their justifications are getting weaker and weaker. Stop overpaying fighters and leaning on fans. Yeah, I mean, how can you justify this pay-per-view cost in comparison to the previous fight? Joshua lost. His star power theoretically is not as strong as it was. How can they justify charging more for a second fight when he was sufficiently outclassed first time around? And not only that, the undercard itself is pretty poor as well. It's ridiculous, isn't it? It's ridiculous. But there you go. People are going to say it's only £2, but you give an inch, they take a mile kind of thing, Because if you remember, that second Andy Ruiz fight, that was the first time his pay-per-views went up to $24.95. And at the time, it was basically framed like that was a one-off. It was such a big fight that it's going to be $24.95, but the minor Joshua fights are going to be $19.95. Skip forwards, and Pulev was $24.95 when they said that the $24.95 was only going to be for massive fights. But there you go. Sky telling us win or lose, AJ keeps being worth more. Yeah, exactly. Ridiculous, isn't it? It's ridiculous. But there you go. What can you say? That's Sky Sports for you, But having said that, it's their last fight with Joshua, so they're going to try and cash out, aren't they? Sorry, I've got a bad throat. Talking too much. But yeah, this weekend isn't particularly strong when it comes to boxing, unfortunately. I mean, this whole summer's been pretty shit. To be honest. We got the Joshua fight coming up, obviously, but then it's Golovkin Canelo. But there's not. Let's have a look at the BoxRec schedule. Let's have a look at Let's have a look at BoxRec. Hang on. I know there's not much this weekend. Fucking BoxRec, such a pain in the arse. So you got to log in. Fucking joke. I mean, I fucking hate this new BoxRec layout. By the way, it's absolute fucking shite. Absolute shite. Have a look at next weekend if there's any good boxing. There used to be a day where I could remember everything, but now, these days, not so much. I used to remember everything. Okay, let's have a look. Next weekend. Is there anything next weekend? I fucking hate this layout, man. I really do. I really do. Oh, you got Michael Conlon versus Miguel Mariaga next weekend. That's a decent fight. Tyrone McKenna, Chris Jenkins, decent fight. You've also got a card in Sheffield, headlined by Dalton Smith versus Sam O'Mason. That card is shit, by the way. That card is shite. Is there anything else next weekend? Oh, it's Jake Paul next weekend, isn't it? It's Jake Paul next weekend. And also Virgil Ortiz versus Michael McKinson. See, that fight's had no promotion whatsoever. No promotion whatsoever. There you go. There you go. What's up, John? Just saw the Danny Garcia weigh-in. He doesn't look like he cut weight at all. Laugh out loud. Yeah. Am I going to the Commonwealth Games? Yeah, BoxRec layout is shite. Yeah. People who buy... Listen, man, a fool and his money are easily parted. A fool and his money are easily parted. I'd deem Canelo Golovkin 3 pay-per-view worthy in the UK. What other fights involving UK fighters which aren't as good as DAZN will deem to be UK pay-per-view worthy? Well, it's not the point though. Like, they kind of framed it when it was first announced. They really kind of framed it like it's going to be on regular DAZN. So to go back on that is the bad thing. Yeah, fair enough. If they announced that straight away, but people would have still complained. But the fact they try to sell it as like non-pay-per-view and they could be putting it on pay-per-view is a bad look. It's a really bad look. You can't be doing that. You can't be doing that, man. I'm sure it's next weekend. I might be wrong, bro, but I'm sure it's next weekend. Maybe I got it wrong. I'm sure it's next weekend. Let's have a look. I'm going to have a look again. Yeah, it's on the 6th of August. Yeah, next weekend. Yeah, Miguel Cotto was a good fighter. Yeah, but well, you can argue about the Golovkin situation when he was middleweight, but Cotto went through so much prior to that. He fought such great competition. I find it a bit unfair to really hold that against him, to be honest. It was a one-time thing. He was never a middleweight. It was what it was. How have your predictions for this year of boxing gone so far? Mine have gone decently well, but I picked Agawa to stop Cordina late, and he ended up planking on me in 2 rounds. So my predictions. So. Some have been pretty good. Some have been pretty shit. Pretty average, kind of middle of a road. That's what I usually that's what my predictions usually come to. Middle of a road. Get some right, get some wrong. If I was that good, man, I'd be making a lot of money, I'd be making a lot of money. I'm not making money on betting. If only. Fucking hell, I've got so many fucking tabs open, guys. But yeah, the Conlon fight is next weekend. And it's actually, listen, Mariaga's a good comeback fight. Mariaga, not what he was back in the day, but you know, he's strong, he's robust, he can punch, and coming off a bad knockout, yeah, it's a good little comeback fight. Absolutely. DAZN said pay-per-view would only be used for the biggest fights. Then they put Ryan Garcia pay-per-view, then KSI, and now potentially Canelo Golovkin. We heard this before at Sky. The next minute, we saw next-gen pay-per-view cards. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You give an inch, they take a fucking mile. That's the problem. You know, and people are going to say, oh, it's only 12. Sorry, it's only 19 quid, whatever. But it's not the point. It's not the point. And ultimately, DAZN are always going to get a lot of criticism for putting on any pay-per-view, because when that network first came out, that was their sales pitch. Was pay-per-view is dead. That was their exact sale pitch. That is not hyperbole. That is exactly their sales pitch when they came out. They even made a fucking like meme of like Canelo Alvarez and Danny Jacobs fucking destroying the pay-per-view thing. But yeah. Blue Collar calling the Charlo Castano knockout was good though. Not many people were saying that. Yeah, that was. Do you know what, John? It's funny you say that. I was pretty confident Charlo would adjust and win, but the whole knockout thing was purely gut instinct. To be honest, purely gut instinct. And the problem with me when it comes to prediction videos, I ignore my initial gut instinct so much, and it usually ends up for the worst. But I keep on doing it. For that one, I didn't. I said, fuck it, I'll go with my gut here. And it worked out. It's weird. That was a good fight, actually. Charlo Castano too. That was a decent fight. My predictions have been average, to be honest. My best one was picking Tyson Fury to stop White in the 6th round. Yeah, for me, I think I said Tyson Fury late in that one. I thought he would need to tenderize White a little bit. But no, that wasn't the case. I'm considering putting money on Canelo stopping Golovkin and Usyk stopping AJ. It's worth a punt. It's worth a punt. I mean, they're not outside of the realms of possibility, are they? Especially with a 40-year-old Golovkin and a fragile Joshua, who's got a new trainer, probably not the most competent right now. That's worth a punt. It's worth a punt. Yeah, no, John Jones, KSI is pay-per-view, yeah. KSI is pay-per-view. What's up, Nordic? How you doing? Yeah, that was a lucky one, though. I just based it purely off gut instinct. On Disturbed Reality, would you ever consider covering the older gore or organized crime content like Colombia in the 70s or 80s or Sicily in the 80s and 90s? Maybe. Maybe. Problem is, bro, there's a lot I want to cover. Not just about organized crime, but like about other things, disturbing content. But there's certain things I can't talk about, unfortunately. You know how YouTube is. Like, there was a video that was released today, which is arguably like one of the worst things I've fucking seen. But I can't make a video on it because YouTube frown upon it. I just can't make a video on it, unfortunately. I'm not sure, Nordic. I think it was. I will say, Castano wasn't as relentless as the first fight. I know Charlo was keeping range a lot better, but he didn't have that same sort of energy. Now, where we go from there is anybody's guess. Did he come to lay down? Was it a bad training camp? Was he injured? Did he do the weight wrong? There's a whole host of theories that we can speculate on. But I do agree that Castano, wasn't as relentless as he was first time around. Didn't seem to have quite as much energy. Yeah, I saw it, Michael Van Gerwen. I don't bet, but if I did, I would certainly put a bet on AJ by stoppage. Good shout. Big up E-Machines. See, that's one that pissed me off, Geho Park. because I was saying on the day of that, or the day before that fight on stream, that I wouldn't be surprised if Vargas won, and before the accident, I would have picked Vargas. I wish I just stuck with. I wish I went with my gut on that one, to be honest, because I think I said Vargas late stoppage or on points. I never knew that AJ said that. E-Machines. Thoughts on AJ saying that Usyk doesn't respect him? I'd probably make him wrong. I think he does. I think he knows Joshua's a dangerous fighter. I think he knows Joshua's a dangerous fighter. He'd be foolish not to go in. He'd be foolish to go in there with no respect. You can say Joshua's overrated, which he is by his fanboys, but he's a good fighter. He's a dangerous heavyweight. He'd be foolish to go in there not respecting him. You have a voice of one of those horror channels. Yeah, so Chris Billum-Smith versus Isaac Chamberlain at cruiserweight. That's a decent fight. You got Danny Garcia versus Jose Benavidez at 154. It's not a great weekend, but I do like that Billum-Smith fight. Yeah, the Ennis one was weird. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Nah, I mean, it's a good little side hustle, Larry Merchant. It's a good little side hustle. Yeah, I think Usyk respects him a lot. That's why he trained for him for years and wanted the fight since the cruiserweight days. Yeah. Like, he doesn't really give the likes of a Deontay Wilder the time of day, you know. But I think he does respect Joshua. Again, Joshua's a weird one because I feel like Joshua, like, the detractors, I think, go a bit too far with Joshua, but his fanboys are just completely irrational and fucking annoying. So it's hard with Joshua to have, like, I don't know, like a genuine viewpoint on him. So you're going to upset somebody kind of thing. To be fair, Castano took some proper cracks in that fight and he didn't go down. So if it was staged, he probably would have had a better chance to go down. Yeah, there's that as well. Because he walked through some bombs prior to that. Big up Marianne. What's up, Marianne G? How you doing? Big up Nordic as well. Again, sorry, I've said that already. See, I'm fucking knackered. I had like 4 hours sleep last night. Yeah, Smith by decision. I think I'm leaning towards that as well. I think Chamberlain is probably technically better, but he's too passive. Sometimes he gets a bit too defensive and he doesn't throw enough. So I can see a fight where it gets kind of ugly, and Billum-Smith just really kind of is the aggressor, and he wins based on that. He forces the fight. Worst robbery, UK robbery in recent years. Miguel Vasquez versus Lewis Ritson was pretty bad. That was bad. I'd say Lewis Ritson, Miguel Vasquez. Because I felt like Lewis Ritson won, 2 or 3 rounds at max, and he got the decision. Yeah, there's a Channel 5 card as well, Nordic. Yeah, the Joshua fans tend to be casual idiots who don't have a clue about boxing. They use him to push normie agendas, yeah. That's part of a course, though, with like sports fans in general, I think, Nordic. Yeah, Smith on points for me too. Seems like a decent bet, yeah. I don't think he'll knock out Isaac Chamberlain. Isaac Chamberlain, he's sparred a lot of top guys, like Alexander Usyk several times. He can really look after himself. I mean, he went the decision with Lawrence Okolie with like a fractured leg or something. So the guy's tough. He can look after himself. Yeah, Terry O'Connor. Terry fucking O'Connor. What a dreadful referee, man. Dreadful referee. Dreadful referee, man. Some of the worst scorecards I've seen in the UK in that fight. And also Miguel Vasquez against against O'Hara Davis. That was another bad one. That was another bad one. Terry O'Connor wasn't even watching the fight, laughing my ass off. I know, right? Was getting his Just Eat order in just before the kebab closed. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and Terry O'Connor carrying Nathan Cleverly to the corner. That was one of my favourite, like, corrupt British boxing moments. That was hilarious. It's like something out of a sitcom. Just slumped over, carrying him to his corner. Hilarious, hilarious, man. Absolutely hilarious. What can you do though? What can you do? That's British boxing for you. That's British boxing for you. You know? Fucking hell, I've got a million things open here. 1 second. Yeah, I felt he when he lost to Mickey Bay, he lost his world title. I felt he won that fight as well. Miguel Vasquez is like the most un-Mexican Mexican fighter that I've seen. Like, he's super awkward, he's super tricky, he's rangy, likes to move, herky jerky. What fight was that? Kovalev fight? Yeah, the Cleverly, Cleverly Kovalev. Yeah, carrying Cleverly to his corner. That was the Kovalev fight. Yeah, maybe he was betting on a split decision. Wouldn't be surprised. Danny Garcia is a Class B fighter. Thoughts on my opinion? I would agree. Danny Garcia never really developed beyond that. I felt he had the making of a better fighter, but I think with Danny Garcia, the problem with him, he stuck with his dad. You know, his dad got him to a certain level, but I felt he should have left his dad maybe after the Mauricio Herrera fight. I think that would have been the ideal time to leave because, of course, the fight before that, he got that big win over Matisse, which was his career best win and still is. And that's when he should have really left or got a new trainer. I think then maybe he could have been a bit better. But yeah, B fighter, a B class fighter. Kovalev, aka Cleverly's Jeff Lacey. Yeah. What's up, John Gonzalez? How you doing, man? How you doing, John? Probably pissed. Yeah, if Vasquez had world class power, yeah, he'd be a problem. He'd be a problem, man. Because he could box. He could box a bit, Miguel Vasquez. He could box. He could definitely box. That reminds me of when Holly Holm was out on the ropes and the ref moved her limp arm off the ropes to eat more punishment. Yeah, I've seen that gif. Yeah. How did everybody score the DeGale Groves fight? At the time, I think I had Groves by a point. I felt it was a super close fight. Super close fight. Danny Garcia. I say Danny Garcia, Felipe. Jose, man, he got shot a few years ago, man. He's been super inactive. He looked like shit in his last fight. I've got Danny Garcia, maybe by late stoppage. Because both guys basically are welterweights at 154. I'd probably say Danny Garcia by stoppage. Yeah, Grove 7-5. I had Groves by a couple of rounds, but a close fight. Yeah, it was a close fight. It was very tactical all the way through. But I felt Groves just about edged it. I felt his jab was more effective in that fight. And I felt in terms of like the quality punches, I felt Groves just did enough. I felt he landed the more correct punches. Whereas DeGale had like flurries here and there, but a lot of it was cuffing and not quite effective. Yeah, so I'd say Groves won that fight, to be honest. I wish we got a rematch. I wish we got a rematch when DeGale won the title. And when Groves had the title, they could have done a unification. Yeah. It's been such a long time since I've watched that fight. It's been such a long time. But DeGale had that in his arsenal to elbow and kind of headbutt. Yeah. He had that in his arsenal. You'll get great odds on Jose if you fancy him. Stick some money on it. I'm not convinced by Jose, bro, ever since he got shot. I've not been convinced. He can box, though, but yeah, that shooting done his career. Yeah, DeGale Groves rematch not happening was a big L for British boxing. I agree, bro. The rematch would have been big. It would have been big. How do you rate Tim Zhu? Do you think he has any chance against Charlo? Well, he's got a chance. He's got nice timing. He's got good power, decent jab. But I think Charlo's more explosive. He's bigger. I think he'll probably get there to it. I think he'll get to him at some point, probably knock him out, maybe a one-punch knockout, or like maybe one punch, he drops him, and then Charlo finishes him kind of thing. But I think it'll be a good fight. I think it'll be a good fight. I think De Gale might have won the rematch when both reached their primes. De Gale at his peak may have been more effective on the inside, and he had the better chin. He definitely had the better chin, and he was definitely better on the inside. The issue with De Gale would be, down the stretch, he always gassed. I know George Groves' gas tank was never viewed as world class, but I think he had a better gas tank than James De Gale. I think he held his shape better. So I think it'll be another close fight, Nordic. I think it'll be another close fight. I think if those two could fight a million times, then it's always going to be close. I would have favoured De Gale to win a rematch around 2017 time. You might be right. I'd say it'll be super close. I wouldn't really want to say. Another bad UK decision that I've just remembered is Callum Smith versus Ryder. Shocker, yeah. I had that fight 8-4 for John Ryder. I felt he clearly won it. There's one every fucking week. It feels like that these days, Marianne. Another shocking decision in Britain, John Simpson versus Stephen Smith. Anybody remember that? I don't remember that fight. I don't remember that fight at all. I don't even remember the rematch. I remember John Simpson. I think he fought Anthony Crolla. No idea, Felipe. No idea. I don't really know enough about either fighter. I'm not a big female boxing fan. I'm no idea. Off topic, but you sound like the YouTuber Rotashaw. Laugh out loud. Nah, I sound like myself. My own specific dulcet tones. Was Zelfa Barrett versus Kiko Martinez a robbery? I felt it was. Yeah, I felt it was competitive. It wasn't that it wasn't competitive, but Kiko just outworked him. In my opinion. It was competitive, but like Zelfa Barrett was landing single punches, whereas Kiko was working. Callum Smith also blatantly hit Groves after he was down. Not saying he wouldn't have won or knocked him out anyway, but how the commentators didn't even talk about that was beyond me, yeah. Yeah, Callum Smith's career, to me at least, has been so underwhelming. Like, his biggest win is over like a past it George Groves, and he's done nothing else. What's his second best win? Rocky Fielding? Eric Skoglund? I mean, the resume is light. I mean, his career to me has always been underwhelming. I've never really been excited by a Callum Smith fight. Maybe I was excited for the George Groves fight, but apart from that, not really. I mean, he took far too long to step up for a start. I mean, he was WBC Mando in 2014 when Anthony Durrell still had the title. Then Badu Jack had it, and he never fought either one of them. Fucking wheat waffles. Somebody said that in the chat the other day. Like, I don't like that guy, from what I heard. I thought Smith versus Skoglund was a gift decision, personally. I felt Smith won that fight, to be honest, but it was competitive. It was very competitive. Smith could never really contend with Skoglund's jab in that fight. Skoglund himself was a tall dude. Good little boxer, Skoglund. Shame his career got cut short. He was a really good European-level fighter. What 3 fights do you like at light heavyweight, apart from Bivol versus Beterbiev? Good question. Domestically, I'd like to see Joshua Buatsi versus Anthony Yard. I think that'll be a great fight. So yeah, Buatsi versus Yard. Gilberto Ramirez versus David Benavidez. I know Benavidez is 168, but how long for? I want to see that at light heavyweight. Ramirez versus Benavidez. We actually nearly got that at 168, but Benavidez tried to go to top rank and he was denied by PBC. So yeah, Benavidez versus Ramirez, Buatsi versus Yard, and what about the last one? What about the last one? Beterbiev versus Canelo, just to see Canelo get knocked out. Yeah, Smith hasn't fought. Yeah, he's not fought since Castillo. That was the AJ undercard against Usyk. Barrett's tick really gets to me. No idea why a fighter doesn't jump on him every time he tweaks his neck around for 3 seconds at a time, 20 times around. Yeah, it's weird. Certain fighters have like these random ticks. Like Leo Santa Cruz always kind of like twists his right hand, or his left hand, sorry. Like I kind of rotate it. It's really weird. Yeah, he didn't even come to fight against Canelo. Didn't even come to fight. Just gloves held high, doing his best fucking Joshua Clottey impression, shelling up like a turtle. Shit performance, man. Again, I felt that was close. I felt that fight was close. I felt it could have gone either way. Thing about that fight that I remember was the amount of rounds that Chisora took off, where he wasn't that active. Like there was big stretches in rounds where he was in the corner, not really, not really doing much kind of thing. Yeah, that's how I saw it as well, Nordic. Either way, could have gone either way. Not sure if you've been asked this or talked about it on your side. What if Canelo loses against Golovkin and Bivol? Who should be his next fight? Well, let's say he loses to Golovkin next. It depends on how he loses. Let's say he loses a competitive decision, then I don't know. Maybe try and fight Jamal Charlo or get a fourth Golovkin fight. I don't really know, to be honest. It's got to the stage with Canelo. If he loses again, he's not really going to take a step down. I don't think he will. But regardless, for some reason, I think they'll try and make the Charlo fight next. Callum Smith versus Marcus Brown. That's a decent fight. Ortiz destroys him, Angel. Ortiz destroys him. Michael McKinson's tricky. He's awkward, but he's got zero power. Zero power. So I think Virgil's just going to walk him down and get to him, quite frankly. Yeah, Bivol versus Buatsi. What's up, Alex? KSI versus Wasabi. Who have you got? I've got no idea who Wasabi is, to be honest with you. So I've got no idea. Buatsi versus Pascal entered negotiations to make a fight after it was ordered by the IBF. So hopefully that gets made. That's probably a good fight for Buatsi, to be honest. A good learning fight, good experience fight, because, Pascal's not what he was, but he's still got something in the tank, as he's proved. Maybe some juice as well. But he's durable, he's tough, he'll come to fight. I think that's a good fight for Buatsi right now. Yeah, the YouTubers are taking over the boxing scene. It's crazy. What's up, Bruce? How you doing, man? Yeah, Anthony Crolla fought the Spaniard, I forget his name, and he lost that fight clearly. And Sky Sports literally justified it by saying, well, it's Crolla's last fight. He's had a great career, completely neglecting that the other guy got robbed. Insane. I think he loses to Golovkin, they'll fight if he loses to Golovkin, they'll fight again. You're probably right. Chisora's one of those fighters who tends to trick fans into think he's winning rounds due to his antics. For example, he can run all night and still be called the aggressor. Yeah, I get you. Hrgovic's fight is an IBF final eliminator. I just don't think he's fought the right people to prepare him for a title fight next. I think I'd agree, bro. He's not really had those sort of step-up fights, Filip Hrgovic. And I understand that, partly that was down to guys ducking him, but he should still have been much more active than he was. He wasn't really willing to fight through the pandemic without a full crowd, things like that. I mean, he's made life harder on himself as well. Boxing has no personalities and big fights don't get made, so YouTubers have taken the spot and exploited the lack of attention. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, you're right. If boxing was delivering, there would be less room for these YouTube boxers. Big up to YouTube Boxing 6007. Who wins between Jake Paul and Hashim Rahman Jr.? Honestly, I think that's going to be a fake fight. I think that's going to be fixed. I think Hashim Rahman Jr. will take a dive. That's my guess. That's my guess. because he's a much bigger man. I know he's not. He's a shit boxer, but he's boxed for longer than Jake Paul. He's actually had amateur fights. He's bigger. He's stronger. But he'll fall over, in my opinion. YouTube boxing fan. Oh, sorry, YouTube boxing. I think he'll fall over. I think he'll take a dive. But yeah, thank you, man. Thank you for the contribution. Much appreciated. Yeah, Bivol, yeah, he beat Callum Smith on points in the amateurs. Yeah, he did. Yeah, KSI makes Sonny Edwards look like a power puncher. Is it just me, or does anybody else think that Pascal is a better fighter than Buatsi? Buatsi just isn't that good. Same old with a dude. Yeah, I mean, Prime Pascal, yeah, much better fighter, but right now, he's not what he was. It's hard to say. I think it's a good test, though. Bivol versus Buatsi in London in front of all of the casual morons. Then Smith in Liverpool in front of all of the chavs. Russians dominating UK hype jobs would be fun to watch, yeah. I think he'd beat both as well, Nordic. I think he'd beat both on points. I don't think he'd stop either guy. He certainly wouldn't stop Callum Smith. But I think he'd beat both on points. Thank you, Lucas, man. Thank you very much. I probably won't. I probably won't. I'll catch the highlights for next day, but I won't like sit up and watch it or anything like that. Just not my thing, really. You know, I've got a feeling I know how it's going to go. KSI is the Walmart Wilder without the power, of course. At least he's entertaining with how he flails his arms to try and punch people. Yeah, the thing is, though, like, Ryder's just not a fucking 175 pounder. That's the problem, you know? I don't really want to see Ryder at 175. Don't really want to see him at 175, to be honest with you. I heavily disagree, then. I think he's going to come in and try to beat Jake badly. Listen, it depends. It depends what's being agreed behind closed doors. That's the conspiracy theorist in me talking. But I don't know. Somebody like Jake Paul, there's a lot of money riding on him. There's a lot of money riding on him, you know. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I'm sure Jake Paul's got the money to do it, and he's got the money behind him to do it. Yeah, I mean, and he's shit as well. Hashim Rahman Jr. is pretty bad. Besides the Mexican monster Charlo and Bivol, because of a rematch clause, I honestly don't think there's any more fights he can fight that will get the average fan excited. But Beterbiev, but that's really a suicide mission. Not sure what you mean, Alex. You mean who need the money, yeah. So yeah, they're easily bought. You think it's 50-50? We'll see. Yeah, so Callum Smith against Borderleek is a WBC eliminator. Yeah, so he'll be Mando for Beterbiev somehow. I mean, he's done nothing really at light heavyweight, but somehow he'll get a Mando shot. Yeah, I agree, John Jones. Yeah, I felt that was a one-side, an easy fight to score Nordic, like 9 rounds to 3. That sort of fight. I think Callum Johnson's done, Lee. I think Callum Johnson's done. He looked dreadful against Umalayev. Absolutely dreadful. Like he couldn't pull the trigger. Dreadful. I think he's done. The injuries, the age, the inactivity, I think it's caught up with him. I think Buatsi beats him now. If he were to beat Buatsi, it would have been a couple of years ago. But now, no, I can't see it. I can't see it, to be honest. I think he's done. Yeah, I think he'd shut Ryder out as well. I just don't think Ryder can close the distance quickly enough in that fight. Yeah, usually the straight right hand. Salute Del and chat. Who do you think has been the fighter of the year? I say Charlo and maybe Bam, fantastic fighter. Yeah, the thing is though, I can never give a guy fighter of the year when they fought one time. regardless of how good that win is. Bam's up there, he's staying active at least. He's staying active, but, Fighter of the Year is becoming harder and harder to award because these guys are just not fighting. Oh yeah, listen, if that fight is real, let's say I know, I get confirmation that fight is real and Jake Paul wins. Yeah, I'd give him credit. Despite I don't rate Hashim Rahman, but for a late starter, I'd give him credit. Yeah, exactly, Jiho Park. Yeah, Callum Johnson looked pretty shit in his last fight, so he's there for the taking if he doesn't pull out. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Boxing's fucked up when everyone's talking about Paul and KSI. Nobody to blame but itself either. Got the heavyweight champion calling out for fans defending narratives. No surprise how it is. Yeah, it is how it is. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm seeing. That's how I'm seeing it, Dave. I might be wrong. Ramirez might be the best light heavyweight. I think he's massively underrated, but he went into complete obscurity over the years. I've always said the same thing. Not that I think he'll be the best light heavyweight, but I've always seen him as underrated. I think he's a pretty versatile fighter, southpaw. He can fight up close. He can fight from range. He's got decent enough power. Pretty good gas tank. I think he's decent, Ramirez. I think he's decent. You think Jake Paul's an Illuminati fighter? He might be. He might be. I don't know. I think he's too smart for that to happen. And since I'm not sure what you're referring to here. Don't know. I think he's too smart for that to happen. And since Ryan and Tio are moving to 140, why do you think they would make that move? I'm not sure what the previous connotation is there, Felipe. Were you replying to another comment or? Yeah, Jake Paul won't fight anybody who won't take it easy on him. Yeah, Jake Paul versus Sonny Edwards. Jake Paul first round knockout. Good fight. I think Morrell would definitely win the early rounds. Just too quick, too sharp kind of thing. But, Morrell's very early in his pro career. And Ryder's a guy who sticks around. So down the stretch, that fight would be very interesting. Because we could see what Morrell has. But the thing is, that fight could have happened. But from what I heard, it was Team Ryder or Eddie Hearn who kind of put the kibosh on that. I guess the money just wasn't in it. But yeah, I mean, I would have liked to have seen that fight. I would have liked to have seen it. I'd like to see John Ryder back in the ring. I heard rumours a little while ago. I heard rumours about Ryder versus Billy Joe Saunders too. I wouldn't mind seeing that. Not that I'm necessarily interested in Billy Joe, but I'd like to see Ryder try and avenge it. Because that first fight was super close. I'll get you, Felipe. Okay. John Ryder versus Zach Parker would be great. But yeah, that would be a good fight. That would be a very good fight. Big test, though. That'd be a massive test for Zach Parker. I think honestly, Zach Parker has this inflated ranking with a WBO. He needs that sort of fight. He needs that sort of fight because he's really not fought anybody. He's really not fought anybody. I think that'd be ideal for him, Lee. Of course, Jake Paul's been doing that one eye symbolism since the age of 12 years old. His dad sold them to Disney, and his entrances include walking out with robots, etc. Yeah, transhumanism and all that. I get you, man. I get you. I'm legit thinking of calling out Sonny Edwards. I have more clout than that random mentally ill midget troll he accepted a challenge from. So do you reckon he'll accept mine? Yeah, I think he would. Just make loads of videos like going on fucking expletive fucking laced tirades calling him out. Again, by the way, thank you, YouTube Boxing 6007. I think AJ has a better chance to beat Usyk in the rematch than Canelo has a chance of beating B-Roll in the rematch, because AJ is still the big man in the weight class while Canelo is the small man. Yeah, I would tend to agree, I think. If both were real fights, I think I would tend to agree. I think I would actually tend to agree there. I would agree. On the note of you thinking Johnson is done, what other fighters do you think are ripe for the taking? At like a decent level, ripe for the taking at a decent level. I'm not sure. I'm not sure, to be honest. Maybe Errol Spence Jr. Just a couple of things I saw in his comeback fights against Danny and Ugas. Maybe Danny Garcia. Sorry, maybe Errol Spence, I mean. But thank you, YouTube Boxing, for the contribution. Andrade disgraced himself with the Parker fight. Yeah, it wasn't a good look, man. He made all that hoopla to try and get that fight, signed for it, then he pulled out, and now he's back in no man's land. Is he going to fight Janebek? Who wins tomorrow? I think I've got Chris Billum-Smith in a close fight, Asif, but I could see that one going either way. I actually think Isaac Chamberlain's more skilled, but the problem with him is he's too passive. He doesn't let his hands go enough, and I think he might get outworked. That's the problem. Canelo has lost track. We'll see, man. We'll see. If he beats Golovkin, he's kind of back on top of the boxing world. John Jones, I was telling people in my uni about secret societies the other day. Big mistake, laugh out loud. Yeah, people don't want to hear it, do they? See, I find those sort of conversations super stimulating, even when I don't agree. I don't get why people shut down those sort of conversations. It's weird. It's weird to me how you can be so like subservient. Do you know what I mean? It's extremely strange to me. But there you go. I like those sort of conversations. But so when I'm out with my friends, I'm always that guy to bring up those sort of conversations. Always, every single time, without fail. Yeah, Usyk is the master boxer, but he's the one coming up in weight. Meanwhile, Bivol is the superior boxer, along with being the bigger man. Yeah, and he's got the stylistic advantage over Canelo, and even some athletic advantages as well. Like he's got quicker feet, etc. Taller, longer. Big up your old Dar. Big up yourself. Matchroom fights consists of one-sided rematches and fights that nobody asked for, but they played us with the Ben Eubank talk never happening. Yeah, I don't think that fight's happening either for some reason, and I don't really want it to happen, to be honest, because it's pointless. Warrington might be there for the taking. He might be there for the taking because he got knocked out by Thingy-Majiggy, Lara. He got his jaw bust up by Kiko Martinez. He got his jaw broken in that fight. He's fighting. It looks like next he's fighting Bernardo Lopez, who beat Isaac Lowe and he beat Gabriel Flores Jr. Bernardo Lopez basically destroyed Flores' career, who was 21 years old, by the way, unbeaten. He beat the fuck out of him. And in Flores' next fight, he looked shot. He lost his next fight. He looked shot. He took a beating in that one. So Bernardo Lopez, that's a weird one because it's a banana skin. It's a weird one in the sense that if Warrington wins, he's not going to get any credit because nobody knows who Lopez is. And if he loses, obviously, that's a big shock to casual fans. But Lopez is a good fighter. Lopez is a good fighter. Luis Ortiz has nothing left, and any half-decent fighter would beat him right now. That's a big win waiting just to be claimed. Yeah, maybe. But the problem with Andy is he looked so bad in his last fight. I'm actually looking forward to the Ortiz fight. Not going to lie, the way he was bullying that midget troll and showboating against him to compensate for the fact that he legit could not knock him out would be wow me up a bit. What an insecure little man. I never actually saw it, to be honest with you. But I heard about it on Twitter, but I never watched it. Sonny Edwards is okay in small doses. I think Chris Billum Smith wins, but Chamberlain has definitely improved since he got beat. Maybe you're right, YouTube Boxing. You're probably right, bro. But that fight is what it is. Commercially, it's a massive fight still, isn't it? And the only thing about Golovkin at 168, I get he's never fought at the weight class, but being 40 years old, getting down to 160, it might be a benefit for him fighting at 168. What's up, G-Man? Salute to G-Man. Big up to yourself. Want to talk about Zelensky, Klaus Schwab, etc.? I mean, listen, we could be here all day. Have you noticed that there are barely any live panels on the YTBC anymore? I was thinking about that the other day. Yeah, there used to be loads of channels that did live panels, but I like live panels, but the issue that I have, I don't like how a lot of people have no fucking manners and they have no idea how to communicate and talk to each other without being fucking rude and interrupting. That's why I fucking always hate going on live panels. That's why I never really bother. It's okay with one or two people. Like I was on G-Man's channel the other day and that was a super good conversation. But I'll do it with like one person who I like, but I'm not going to fucking go on a panel with like 17 different people. You know what I mean? Conor Benn's been taking the piss with his career lately. I hope that somehow the stars align and he gets flattened by Broner on his comeback trail. That'd be hilarious. I might be Team Broner for that fight, just for the lols. It's mad that the YTBC just faded away like any Matchroom prospect. Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah, the YTBC is not as fun as it was, man. It's not as fun as it was, is it? It's not as fun as it was, in my opinion. But there you go. There's what it is. What can you do? What can you do? Saw the video where Jamal Charlo got punked by Benavidez. No, I've not seen it. I don't usually watch those sort of videos, man. I've kind of like stopped watching those sort of the boxing gossip videos and that sort of thing. Yeah, it's 100%. 100%. People make excuses for anything. It's weird. My mate said to me the other day that all of his symbolism is just to troll conspiracy theorists like me. There might be an element of that, to be honest, like red herrings. That could be a real thing, like psyops and red herrings. I'm sure that's a real thing. I'm sure some symbolism is real, but if Warrington fights Lopez, he's getting fucked up. Can't stand Warrington, such a cheater. It's a dangerous fight. It's a dangerous fight. Lopez is good. Yeah, I hope Warrington fights him. 100% lumping on Lopez if the odds are wide, like they may be. I think they will be wide. Would you give AJ better chance against... Sorry, I'll start again. Adolf Stalin. Would you give AJ a better chance against Fury or Usyk? I don't know, really, to be honest with you. You could say Usyk just because of size, but like I think even Fury stylistically is a nightmare for him, to be honest. I don't know. Yeah, the cruiserweight division right now is kind of since Usyk and Gassiev and Briedis, it's kind of gone down a little bit. Jay Opataya got a good win over Briedis recently. He looks pretty good, actually. I like what I see from him. So you got Jay Opataya, you've got Akole, who's a champion, Ilunga Makabu, who is a champion, but his belt is waiting to be taken. Speaking of fighters who are there for the taking, Ilunga Makabu. The cruiserweight division, there are still some really good fights to be made. Not quite as strong as it once was, though. Big up, Andre, man. How you doing? Yeah, Andy looked really bad in that Areola fight. What do you think of Hrgovic linking up with Ronnie Shields? That's interesting. I never even knew that. Has Joshua missed the opportunity? I don't think so, man. I don't know. Ronnie Shields is pretty good with boxer punches, and maybe he could make Hrgovic better at straight punches. Hrgovic has this weird thing with his right hand where he kind of loops it too much, and he doesn't really straighten it out that well. I'd like to see Ronnie try and work on those straight punches of Hrgovic. Yeah, live panels are great. It's just most people are fucking mongs and ruin it. Yeah, exactly. Ortiz has a good boxing brain, and even at 97 years old, he has better feet than almost every other heavyweight. Yeah, he does have good footwork. Yeah, when people talk over each other, just a waste of time. Yeah, listen, I understand you can get heated and disagree and whatnot and have debates, but like you can do it in a relatively respectful manner. But most of these panels that I come across it just evolves into screaming and shouting, and I'm too old for that. Yeah, I had a good time, G-Man. Really good time. Really fun chat. Yeah, they're crazy as well. Yeah, Thunderdome had some great conversations on his channel. Yeah, the symbolism is partly to give us the runaround. I agree. I can't remember what the X thing stands for in symbolism. I think it's the Osiris sign, hands crossed over the chest. That's the old West Ham sign, isn't it? The irons, the arms crossed over your chest. Yeah, Thunderdome's great. Yeah, Johnny Boy was a live wire. Who is the better prospect, Hrgovic or Makhmudov? I would say Hrgovic. He's younger. He's got a better amateur pedigree. I think he's more robust as well. Better chin. I would say Hrgovic. It's definitely going to points. I could see Bivol getting robbed though. Honestly, I could see Bivol getting robbed, but it will definitely go to points. I'll say that much. I want to say Ward controversial. Ward controversial in reality. West Ham confirms. Yeah. Bivol schools Ward with a fair ref and a fair judge. You might be right. Ivan Dichko, yeah, he's gone nowhere. He won. What is it? I think he's won 2 bronze medals, maybe. Ivan Dichko, tall, rangy fighter, a little bit similar to a Klitschko type style, like a Vladimir Klitschko. But yeah, he's gone nowhere, and his level of competition has been dreadful. And he's been pro now for what, 4 years, and he's fought what, 10 times maybe. YouTube boxing again with another contribution. The reason I think Jake gets a legitimate win over Hashim Rahman is because of his work ethic. Jake has, for the past 4 years, been dedicated to boxing, and just today he posted a video where he does a literal death workout. No idea what that is, to be honest with you. But listen, he's definitely dedicated. He probably trains harder than a lot of pros. You see how pros will have like a day out, so they'll have a fight, and then they'll spend weeks out of a gym where they get fat, they get overweight. One thing about Jake Paul, he keeps himself in good shape, and he probably does train harder than a lot of professional boxers. I'll give him that. I will give him that. He definitely takes care of himself outside the ring, and that's admirable. That is admirable. But you might be right. But thank you for the super chat. Oh, Max Kuckerman, long time no see, bro. How you doing? Andrea retired because of Beterbiev and Bivol. Yeah, Beterbiev was the IBF mandatory actually when he retired. See, Beterbiev had the style to where like he could negate Ward's clinching because he's so fucking strong. He could negate Ward's clinching. I think Ward realised after the Kovalev fights that he kind of was lucking out at light heavyweight, and if he stuck around, he'd have got beat. Because, like I say, Beterbiev was round for corner, as you mentioned, Dmitry Bivol, and even Adonis Stevenson. I think, would have been a tricky fight for Ward, a dangerous fight. I'd lean towards Bivol, to be fair. You might be right. Yeah, but he's just had easy fights up until Tyrone Woodley, but now he's stepping up again, yeah. The first Tyrone Woodley fight, I actually watched highlights of that fight. That actually looked pretty close. But I don't know. Jake Paul, listen, he is what he is. He is what he is. I just hated watching Ward fight. Bro. Physical strength is one of the most important attributes in boxing, an underrated one, yeah, and that's what Beterbiev has in abundance. And Ward was strong himself. One thing about Ward, I will say, he was physically strong. Andre Ward. Hang on. One second. Just give me one moment. Bear with me. Bear with me. Bear with me. Bear with me. I had Jake 6-2 against Tyrone Woodley. Yeah, I wasn't scoring it, but I just watched the highlights, and it looked pretty close for me. It looked pretty close. Yeah, Ward was the GOAT at fouling, pound for pound number one. That reminds me of Chris Ariola's training camp for Vitali. Man was downing beers before squaring up with a literal giant. Yeah, Chris Ariola was crazy, man. Chris Ariola was crazy. He was a fun fighter, Chris Ariola, but he was what he was, really. Yeah, I'm doing well, bro. I'm doing well, Soler. Hopefully you're keeping well as well. Hopefully you're keeping well, bro. I still think Crotch was Ward's best performance in terms of like being clean. He actually fought pretty clean against Carl Froch, Andre Ward, from my memory anyway, which proved he could do it. I think he'll fight. Pascal, but apparently they're trying to make Buatsi versus Bivol, so we'll see. The story of a fight, yeah, the story of a fight. Love it. Max Kellerman, man. I'm glad he's not in boxing anymore. Nah, bro, I'm on the H2O, G man, and coffee basically. H2O and coffee. Are you going to be watching any of the Commonwealth boxing? It's down the road from me. Might try and get tickets now. I won't watch it, bro. I'll be honest. Yeah, Ariola actually lost a lot of weight before that fight. I think some of the build-up was just a bait and switch. Yeah, maybe. Because Ariola was actually quite highly touted back in the day. Rackman Jr. sucks, but at least he's big. Jake Paul's been fighting guys who usually fight at 155 to 170, yeah. And Hashim Rackman Jr. has been fighting at heavyweight, but he's going to drain him. In Ward Kovalev 1, around round 4, Max said, "It may look like Andre is losing, but he is winning the story." Did he actually say that? Did he actually say that? He even wore a weighted vest at the weigh-in, pretending to be fat. Froch called Ward out for his fouling, so Ward wanted to prove a point. Yeah. Well, why couldn't he have done that in all of his fights? That was the problem with Ward. He's overrated by some, I would say, but he had a good career. Vladimir was an underrated champion. Yeah, he was. He's in my top 5 heavyweights of all time. He was a great champion, Vladimir. He fought all comers, whether they was good, bad, or indifferent. I mean, he did what he needed to do. He reigned for a long time. Scored some devastating knockouts. He was big. He was strong. Great heavyweight champion. Yeah, no doubt. Okay, so Jake won the first fight wide. Okay. See, I never saw it, bro. I just looked on highlights. Big up, Gerard. How you doing? Yeah, basically, yeah. He basically admitted that they do paint certain narratives going into fights. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt about it. But, that is what it is. I mean, we come to expect that, I think. Remember when Froch blatantly hit Ward after the bell? I was surprised that never got him a point deduction, yeah. Again, that's one of those fights, Nordic. I saw it. I watched it at the time. I don't think I've seen it since. I watched it like once. Cotto versus... That's a great fight. Cotto versus Crawford at 147. What was the best 147 Cotto? The one who fought Zab Judah and Shane Mosley? That Miguel Cotto versus Crawford would be a great fight. I could definitely see Cotto getting dropped by like one of Crawford's sneaky short uppercuts or one of his short shots. I'd probably lean towards Crawford on points, but I could see it going the other way. He may be 11 rounds down, but he has controlled the geography of the fight. Yeah, I felt Froch lost to Durrell as well. I know Durrell thought he ran a bit, but I felt he won the fight. I saw that, Soler. Yeah, UFC are feeding Nate Diaz to Khamzat Chimaev, yeah. But, Nate Diaz wants to get out of his contract. I think that's Dana White basically saying, fuck you. You can get out of your contract. One last fight. Here you go. You're fighting Khamzat, yeah. And Khamzat's going to fuck him up. Chimaev's going to fuck him up. That's going to be ugly, Soler. That is going to be ugly. Yeah, they said Canelo was winning the story of a fight in the second Golovkin fight because he didn't run around like the first one. Yeah, exactly. Froch lost wide to Durrell and got a gift. Was losing to a shot Taylor. Got schooled by Ward. He went life and death with an old Glenn Johnson. Hell, even Adamu gave him a tough fight, laughing my ass off. Yeah, Glenn Johnson gave him a really tough fight. Glenn Johnson was a good fighter. One of those guys with a deceptive record. Underrated fighter, Glenn Johnson. He's one of those guys, like his nickname actually was apt. The Road Warrior. He fought everybody, Glenn Johnson. He fought everybody from Sven Otke to fucking Carl Froch to Roy Jones to Antonio Tarver, Bernard Hopkins, Otke. I mean, Clinton Woods, 2 or 3 times. Like, Glenn Johnson fought everybody. Even past his prime, he was fighting the likes of George Groves and still going the distance. He was a tough dude, man. Very great chin, man. And he even fought Makabu like in his mid-40s, and he got stopped in that one. I think he got stopped late, but that was what it was. He was shot to bits. Yeah, Froch had a lot of luck in his career, not to mention a lot of protection. Durrell was the aggressor against Froch, threw and landed many more punches, and in the second half pushed the action. Froch was swinging like a madman early on and did nothing near the end. Yeah, and I think he got buzzed in that fight, Kyle Froch. I think he got slightly buzzed, if my memory serves me correct. Yeah, Glenn Johnson was a good fighter. Yeah, man, he fought everybody. I mean, I'm sure that's going to be a pretty long... That's going to be a pretty long video. And I felt he beat... who was it he beat and I felt he got robbed? Was it Chad Dawson in one of the fights? I think he fought Chad Dawson twice. Because he was giving Chad Dawson hell in one of those fights. I forget which one. I think it was the first... I'm sure it's the first fight. I think De Gale would have given Froch a lot of trouble early on, but it's his gas tank down the stretch. One thing about Cole Froch, usually he finishes fights quite strong. Johnson versus Woods was another shocking decision. I don't know. Have I even seen those fights? I don't even know. HBO protected Andre against Kovalev and Andre then retired on them, yeah. Big up to Mart. He says Usyk showed that he's not just a better boxer, but the more durable fighter. Even with Usyk being much smaller and much less powerful, his clean shots hurt Joshua more than Joshua's clean shots hurt Usyk. That is true. Yeah, how do you think Hopkins versus Golovkin fight at 160 would go? I'd probably say Golovkin on points. Golovkin's not stopping Hopkins at 160. And Hopkins certainly isn't stopping Golovkin. I know it's probably controversial, but I'm going to go Golovkin on points in a pretty close fight. Hopkins will get a bit of, will do some work on the inside, maybe dirty, win a few rounds, but I think Golovkin probably wins based on that jab. Yeah, Glenn Johnson was a good fighter, but Froch shouldn't be going life and death with him in his 40s. That is true, yeah, because after that fight, he fought George Groves and he lost every round. Glenn Johnson, yeah. Yeah, Darrell hurt Froch badly in round 10, I think it was, almost dropped him. Yeah, he stunned him, like proper stunned him in his tracks, yeah. What's up, Jordan? Jordan Henderson boxing. What's happening, Dale? Hopefully you're good. Hopefully you're good. Just had my second fight. I lost, but I think I won. So it was a tough one to take. Commiserations, bro. As long as you learn from it, bro, that's the main thing. You know how at the end of the day, you know how it went down, so you can have that satisfaction. You know what you did right, but you also know what you did wrong. So you got something to build upon, something to learn from. So yeah, just keep up with it, man. I wish I kept up with boxing when I was younger. So big up to yourself. Kawanaki versus Demareason's a really good fight. It's a really good fight. Really good fight. I think I probably lean towards Kawanaki, but he could be shot. He could be shot. So where to go from there? Is it illogical to think that Joshua could simply try to bully Usyk and bang him around? Easier said than done, especially with Joshua's weak chin and stamina. Yeah, I mean, he could try, he could simply try, like you said, and try to bully Usyk. But again, whether it works or not is another question. But I certainly know boxing with Usyk is not going to work. That I think we all know that you're trying to fiddle around with lead hand control and be super, like, trying to concentrate on getting lead foot position. He can't win that sort of fight with Usyk. He's not gonna bait Usyk in and walk him into a right hand. He needs to fight in somewhat of an aggressive way, but how to achieve that and how to actually implement that is a different kettle of fish. Maybe stylistically he just can't beat Usyk unless, like, he lands one punch from the gods, as they say. Johnson looked 60 when he was 35. Yeah, what a man. Yeah, Glenn Johnson, no doubt. Glenn Johnson, like, Emmanuel Augustus was a good fighter, like he was a good journeyman, like a gatekeeper. But, despite Johnson's record, he was a legit world level fighter at one point. And I think Glenn Johnson was much more technically correct as well. Held a much better shape, good guard, nice jab, kept his punches nice and short when he's up close. Yeah, Johnson schooled Chad Dawson in the first fight. That was a shocking decision too. The rematch was a fair win for Dawson. He did much better. No worries, bro. Yeah, that's the cycle of boxing and, like, any combat sport. A guy will be hot for 1 minute. He'll start to get some losses. He'll get beaten up and he'll get cashed out and, like a cheap ball basically. Yeah, it's going on points, no doubt. It's going to points. Chamberlain will drop Billum Smith. I'm not sure. He can outbox him, but I don't think he'll drop him. Hopkins' best combo: missed jab, headbutt, clinch, and repeat. Yeah. He wasn't quite as bad for it at 160 when he was a bit younger. But when he got older, when he moved past 160, he was really bad for it. Like, he progressively got worse with it as his career went on, basically. Because early Hopkins was like more of a boxer puncher. But yeah, as he got older, I want to get into boxing so bad. I'm 17, 6'5", but I've got to lose 100 pounds. Well, listen, work towards it, man. You got a nice height. You could be a heavyweight if your reach is good. And heavyweights can start later, bro. That's the good thing about heavyweights. They can start later. Like, there's been a lot of heavyweights who have started in their late teens, early 20s and had success. Like, Joshua started when he was 18. Wilder started at 20, 21. Rocky Marciano started in his 20s. Yeah, I'll tell you what, Hopkins versus Roy Jones 1 was actually a decent fight. Hopkins made Roy look human. Jones clearly won, though, yeah. Yeah, Jones clearly won. AJ should lean on Usyk whenever he can, tie him up tons, make it annoying to get off. Yeah, yeah. I think AJ's chin is. I think it's recovery as well with AJ. I don't think it's necessarily the ability to take one shot. I think he doesn't know what to do when he gets hurt. He panics a lot. I think that's the problem with Joshua. Plus he's got no confidence in his chin, which makes it a lot worse. And also his stamina's not great. Hopkins wasn't as bad as Ward, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, even against Tito Trinidad, Hopkins was the underdog. Yeah, Glenn Johnson looked 22, age 2. Yeah, he had one of those mean mugs, man. He was a tough dude. Speaking of Chad Dawson, he's in Puerto Rico sparring Jake Paul. Good sparring. I know Chad Dawson's old and shot, but good sparring. I smashed his guy, yeah. He'll get ruined. Yeah, Diaz has got no chance, man. That Kamzat is a pretty good fighter. Oh yeah, the weight will go off you, like will fall off you. You can make it work for YouTube boxing. You can make it work. A 6'5" inside fighter, short punches up close. You could make it work. Yeah, Diaz would need to land some really solid combinations, but the guy he's fighting should be fighting for the belt. I'd say 10-1 odds is fair. Yeah, and I guess the other chance that Diaz might have is to somehow catch Kamzat on the ground with his jiu-jitsu, but I doubt that's going to happen. Like, Kamzat's a pretty good fucking wrestler. Yeah, just don't be like Dave Allen, yeah. Yeah, exactly. It depends on the fight depends on how much Kaunaki has left. He tried to get himself DQ'd against Hellenius because he was scared. Usyk probably wins. His style is not good for Joshua. I agree with both points. I think Kaunaki, if he's at his best, he probably outwork Demarizen. Demarizen can be a little bit lazy at times, but he's got a similar style. He just doesn't throw as many punches. It's lame because Diaz is showing signs of head trauma. Against Masvidal, he took a full round. He took a full powerhouse kick to the face, and continued the fight. Oh yeah, no doubt. Yeah, he had a great. He's still got a good chin, Nate Diaz. He's still got a good chin. One of the best chins I've seen in MMA. He does have a very good chin. Chad Dawson ruined his career with the Ward fight. Yeah, I mean he lost a lot of weight to make that, and it killed him. He looked dry as fuck on fight night, and he had no punch resistance whatsoever. I know his chin was never great in the first place, Chad Dawson, but in that Ward fight, a good gust of wind would have blown him over. Chad Dawson actually had skills, but he never had the other ingredients. Like the chin, the toughness, that sort of. He kind of lacked in those departments, but he had skill. He could really box, Chad Dawson. Like he schooled Hopkins. He schooled Hopkins, so he had skill. He was a good outboxer, Chad Dawson. Nice quick feet, good straight punches. Yeah, Hopkins was the underdog against Trinidad, Pavlik, Tarver, Pascal, and Winky Wright. Just off the top of my head, yeah, yeah. He won a lot. He made a lot of people money, no doubt. I don't get in retrospect how people were picking Tito over Hopkins, but there you go. I wasn't around. Well, I was around, but I wasn't really into boxing like that then. I was too young. Yeah, Nate Diaz must get headaches. He always gets smashed. Yeah. Yeah, Dawson was a very good technical fighter, but he just wasn't very hard. Yeah, he wasn't robust enough. He wasn't durable enough. That was his problem. That was his problem. Fuck's sake, man. Wrong fucking chat. Yeah, toughness absolutely is is a attribute that you would want. If you could have like three attributes to like make a boxer, toughness is definitely one of them, and durability. I say you've got to have toughness, heart, and durability, man. Like sheer will can overcome a lot, not just in boxing, but in life in general. Just sheer will and persistence. There's a lot to be said for that. Sheer will and persistence. What's up, Sean? How you doing, man? Choo choo, indeed, indeed. YouTube boxing again, bro. You've been super kind. What's your thoughts on Vidal Riley? I personally think he's got athletic ability and his speed is very special for a cruiserweight. Can he go a long way? Well, people in the boxing trade tend to speak very highly of him. I've only seen snippets of him, so I can't really judge him. He's certainly not a guy who I would necessarily write off. I think there's some talent there, no doubt about it. But again, it's far too early really to see where he's going to go. And one thing to add as well that you have to consider is he doesn't really need boxing. Like he makes a lot of money outside of boxing, so that can maybe dampen his appetite going forwards. That's the only thing I would say about him. He doesn't really need boxing like that. So it's a hard one. I mean, he's worth following. He's worth following. He's worth keeping an eye out for. But like, I wouldn't say necessarily that he's a sure thing. But I wouldn't say he's a complete bum either. And thank you for the contribution again. Nate's chin is what could get him in trouble. He never quits, but likely he should have. He would rather quit. He would rather dive and quit. Yeah, yeah. But even fighters like that, after a while, they can be broken mentally. They can be broken mentally. You know, it's like Nate Diaz, like Nick Diaz. He was always like that, but against Robbie Lawler, he quit. I know. There were so many circumstances going into that. He basically had the rest of his career robbed by the athletic commission because of marijuana, and his head really wasn't in it. But anybody can be spiritually broken in that sort of scenario, in a combat scenario, or the vast 99.999% of people can be spiritually broken. Yeah, Dawson was the opposite of Froch. Froch was very tough and fit and made up for his lack of skills and defense. Yeah, whereas Dawson was the other way round. He had the skills, he had good legs, had good defense, good jab, etc., but no real toughness. I never knew Josh Kelly made good money outside of boxing. I never knew that. What does he do? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's 6-0 at 25 years old, and 25 is still very young for a cruiserweight because a lot of cruiserweights can go into their late 30s. So yeah, Vidal Riley's got a lot of time. He's got a lot of time. But listen, I'm always interested in the cruiserweight division. Cruiserweight division always delivers good fights, even when it's not the strongest. It just tends to deliver good fights. Like the other day, man, Opatea versus Briadis was a great fight. That's an awesome fight. One of my favorite fights in a while. That's actually one of my favorite fights of the year. Briadis versus Opatea. One of my favorite fights of this year. Really good bout. Because that's exactly what you want to see from an up and comer. I felt Opatea won the fight. I felt it was closer than the commentators had it. But regardless, that's the sort of fight you want from an up and comer stepping up. It's the sort of test that you want because he showed his skills in the first 6-7 rounds where he was kind of outboxing Briadis. But in the second half, Briadis came back into the fight and he got gut checked. He got chin checked and he got gut checked. He broke his jaw in two places, took some big shots, never went down, and he toughed it out. So Opatea proved in that fight he's got good skills, he's got a good chin, and he's got a heart. Yeah, Cole's a weird one. He's effective YouTube boxing, but like he's so fucking ungainly. He's so ungainly and horrible to watch, man. I think he might be more watchable at heavyweight, where he can't do quite the same things, where he can't like hold as much, he can't maul as much. I think he might be. I think he'll be a lot more entertaining at heavyweight. Yeah, I rate Jared Anderson. He's a good fighter. Not the biggest heavyweight in the world, but he's a good fighter. Nice, quick hands. Actually, a heavyweight who can go down to the body, which is always interesting. But yeah, he looks very good. He's young. He's coming up. He's definitely the best prospect in American heavyweight boxing. I hope it does. I hope it does. I think it's. I probably lean towards Akole because of sheer, like pure size, but it's a good fight. This is a few things. One supplement business. Heard that a small bald Welsh guy talking about it recently. Does commentary actually quite like him? Can't remember his name. Barry Jones. So he's got a supplement company. Well, fair play to him. Fair play to Josh Kelly. Jared Anderson versus Daniel Dubois. Well, Dubois further ahead in his career, but I think Anderson has more natural talent. I think he's got more athletic ability. He's quicker. It's hard to say. I think it's unfair because I've not seen Anderson in there with like a Joe Joyce. You know, I'm tempted to say Anderson. Yeah, got to get those likes up. That is true. Smash for like. I think Usyk would cause Fury huge problems and has a great chance of beating him. Fury is quick and slick for a big man, but he won't have that advantage against Usyk. Joshua is far easier for Fury. You're probably right. And I agree. I think Usyk gives Tyson Fury all the problems in the world. Not saying Tyson can't win, because he can. But Tyson Fury would be in a totally unique fight in that one, a totally unique style. Now, having said that, Fury's unique to Usyk as well. Yeah, Dubois probably hits harder than Anderson, but in terms of like, there's just more wow factor with Anderson. I know you can't judge a fighter on that because we've seen a lot of flashy looking fighters who have been exposed, right? So I get you can't judge fighters on that, but Anderson just looks more, I don't know, just looks more talented to me. Barry Jones, yeah, he was talking about him doing really well outside of a ring, and that gave him doubts on his will to fight anymore. Okay, that makes sense. Thoughts on Johnny Nelson saying that he would have outboxed Usyk? I mean, in all seriousness, man, Johnny Nelson's reign of he basically had a WBO reign of terror. If you look at his career, who did he really beat? He beat Cole Thompson by a bogus stoppage, and Cole Thompson was a good fighter, but he was always fringe level at best. He beat Cole Thompson, Ezra Sellers, and that's basically it. Got a robbery draw over Guillermo Jones. He really beat nobody, Johnny Nelson. He didn't do anything. Like Johnny Nelson wouldn't beat a Lebedev. He wouldn't beat Lebedev. He wouldn't beat like any of the recent cruiserweight champions. A Cole. He might beat Makabu. I think he'd beat Makabu, Johnny Nelson. But like he's like the only one I can think of that he'd beat in recent years. Let alone Usyk. He ain't gonna beat Usyk. I've not seen this video yet, Mr. Magoo. I know Nordic's got a different opinion on it. Sonny Edwards, to me, I can take him in small doses. He's somewhat entertaining at times, but he does go on, doesn't he? I think Hunter can give Dubois the business. Yeah, I do as well. But again, Hunter, Mar, is like it depends. Like, is he taking it seriously? Is he at his best? He looked terrible against Jerry Forrest. He looked dreadful. Yeah, Usyk schools him. Yeah, not. It's an easy fight for Usyk. He's probably got better sparring partners. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if he comes in good shape, I think he'll give Dubois the business. Yeah, Jalalov is very interesting. Nabzila, 6'7" southpaw, moves really well. Good boxer from range, hits super hard. I do have question marks over his gas tank and his ability to handle pressure, like pressure as in, pressure fighters, and also his chin. I do wonder about those things, but like he's got a lot of skill. Yeah, and listen, bro. Back then, like the casual Mongs were actually buying into it. I remember. I remember. I remember. Yeah, I think Hunter's good at his best. I think Hunter's good at his best. But again, it's staying dedicated. Arslanbek Makhmudov is a very underrated prospect. He needs to step up after beating Whack because he's already 33. Yeah, Makhmudov has flaws, but he's extremely powerful. His right hand is powerful, whether it's the overhand or the right uppercut. Very powerful. Needs to jab more because he kind of follows guys around a bit too much for my liking. And also, he needs to keep that lead hand a lot higher because he's not the quickest to evade shots. So he needs to make a few adjustments, but like just based on power alone and strength, he'll give guys a lot of trouble. What do you think about Antonio Morales, the heavyweight prospect? Yeah, he's like the Mexican American dude. Yeah, I've seen he's with Top Rank. He's lanky as hell. I mean, he's a big lump. He looks pretty slow to me though. He looks pretty slow to me, so it's hard to say. But when you're that size at heavyweight, you've always got a chance. Makhmudov is trash. Only got punching power. I wouldn't say he's only got punching power. I mean, he did okay in the amateurs and the World Series of Boxing. He can fight a bit. Is there such a thing as a Russian fighter that isn't underrated in the UK? Probably not, to be honest. I wanted to see it. A 47-year-old Nelson with hip problems, struggling to climb through the ropes against a prime Hook. Yeah, yeah. Hook was a good cruiserweight champion. He had a couple of bad decisions. Like Firat Arslan was the one that comes to my mind. But yeah, he was a good champion. Marco Hook. I always used to like watching his fights on Box Nation back in the day, because Box Nation had the old Sauerland cards with like Arthur Abraham and those guys, Hook, Jurgen Bremer, etc. Who would have won between Bellew and Nelson? Um, I'm tempted to say Nelson. Sorry, I'm no tempted to say Bellew. Sorry, I think it'll be an ugly fight. I'm tempted to say Bellew though. Thoughts on Ashton Silve, a prospect at super featherweight? Never seen him. I need to check him out. Bellew versus Nelson draw. Yeah, Huck's fights with Ola Afolabi were great, man. I think they were some great fights, man. I think they had 4 fights in the end. I think the fourth fight was like one-sided, but like the first 3 fights were so good, man. Then he had his fight with Cunningham, with the Arslan fight. He had a really good fight with some Italian dude as well, where he's fucking flatlined him. I forget his name. Who will be heavyweight world champions in 2025? I think Tyson Fury and Joshua will probably be gone from the scene then, as will Wilder, as will Usyk, to be honest. I think what you will see, JDav, is a scene where there's like multiple world champions. Like it's going to be scattered again. There's going to be like an IBF champion, WBC champion, etc. I wouldn't be surprised if Hrgovic has a belt. Yeah, Bellew versus Nelson is a horrible thought. Yeah. Jalalov and Anderson both have huge potential, but I'm not sure about Anderson's chin. You know what? I've said this previously. He's got a very small head for some reason. Yeah, he does. For his size, he's got a small head. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, and I do wonder about that as well. I guess in one respect he's harder to hit because he's got a smaller head. Do you think any of the current 130 or 135 pounders could beat Pretty Boy Floyd? The only one I'd give a chance is Lomachenko, but 135 Floyd, I'd probably take Floyd. I'd take Floyd, to be honest. At 135. I lost all hope in Makhmudov when he was getting shoe shined and shoulder rolled by Vak, and ended up winning because the Ashes Vak's knees is composed of disintegrated. Yeah, yeah, I'll get you. He was getting tagged up. He was getting tagged up. Yeah, maybe Joshua was going to stick around by then, but he would have made so much fucking money. He would have made so much fucking money. Hang on. One second. One second. One second. One second. One second. Joshua versus Chisora is likely, I suppose. Should he lose? Yeah. Apparently, Joshua is going to fight again in December. So, listen, I'd imagine win or lose, that's going to be like a routine defense. It's not going to be against Fury. So, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if it's Chisora or somebody lower level. Would Lucas Brown beat any current heavyweight prospects? Well, he just beat fucking what's his face, Junior Farr. I know he's not technically a prospect, but probably not. In all seriousness, probably not. Probably not. Okoli. I mean, I think Okoli might be a dark horse, but I think his chin might let him down as well. I think he might be hitting harder at heavyweight, but we'll see. Great fights. First fight, Hook won wide. The second fight was an absolute war back and forth all of the way and was officially scored a draw. Third fight was another war, and Huck stopped Afolabi in the fourth fight. Yeah, that was it. Yeah. They were great fights, man. They were great fights. Yeah, Afolabi was a good fighter. One of those guys never really kind of got the love because cruiserweight back then was even like less regarded than it is now. But Afolabi was a good fighter when he knocked out Enzo Macronelli. It was a good fighter, Afolabi. Had that fight go the distance at some huge price, could have been 8-1. Was happy how it was going until said Ashes blew away in the winds. Yeah, they were. They were made for each other. I think it's too late now. I don't really want to see it now. I think it's too late. Chisora will get fucking smoked. Yeah, exactly. After a while, surely it's fucking After a while, surely it's the motivation goes when you got that much money. Usyk's got a small pinhead due to Chernobyl fallout. He can seem to take a punch though. He can seem to take a punch. Oh yeah, Hemiya Hio. Yeah, Hemiya Hio's not great at all. That'd actually be a good fight. That'd actually be a good fight. Yeah, Pac-Man and Marquez, Israel Vasquez and Rafael Marquez as well. There's been a few in recent years, but not many. Not many. Yeah, no, yeah. Nelson was saying he'd come out of retirement to fight Hook in 2014. Yeah, yeah. Afolabi was Klitschko's main sparring partner for the Hay fight too. He was tough and had serious power. Yeah, yeah. He was a good fighter, man. He was a good fighter. I remember his last fight in Germany, and he fought a guy called Mario Dizer or something like that, and that was blatantly fixed. That Mario Dizer guy's never been seen since. Again, YouTube boxing with a super chat. Let me just take care of this quickly. Hang on. We'll get rid of that. Sorry, mate. Do I think Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury will still happen? Well, there's a lot of money in it. It's been teased for so long now that, yeah, it would be big. But wait, listen, unless Jake Paul fights in the UK, it's not going to happen anytime soon with what's going on. It might happen. It might happen if Tommy gets his situation cleared up. Yeah, Lamata, yeah. Any news on Bakole? Haven't heard anything since he obliterated Yoka. I think Bakole, sorry, is kind of like a high risk, low reward. Like he is a good fighter. He does have some ability, but like nobody knows who he is. Like nobody knows who he is, and he's not going to be matched with like an up and comer because it's too risky, and he's not really got the name value to fight a contender right now. I'm not really sure where Bakole goes from here. I would love to see Bakole versus Danny Dubois, but there's no way that fight's going to happen. Yeah, that Mario Dicer guy was like 51 years old and he knocked out Afolabi to the body. Yeah, that was a weird fight, man. Let's have a look at this guy. I'm going to try and find this guy. I think that was his last fight and he got knocked out in the third round. Yeah, Mario Dicer's not fought since 2018. And that was just like a 6-rounder. Weird, man. So strange. I actually think there's an outside chance in the next few years that we will see Hay versus Bellew 3. Both want to fight, and I think there's massive money in it. I can't see it, bro. Can you believe it? Sexy Russian women want to meet me. I must click. Let me know how it goes. I think Tommy's more skilled, quicker, and has better cardio than Hashim, but Hashim is just a big, powerful dude who can occasionally switch stances. Yeah, bigger dude. Yeah, but Tommy's not great, man. Tommy's not great at all. Bakole's busy shining Billy Nelson's shoes at the moment. But yeah, he's a fun fighter, Bakole. Do you think Tommy Fury has enough to stop Beterbiev? I think he causes him problems. But Beterbiev should have enough to win a split decision. I make you right, Adolf Starling. I think you're right. Yeah, shame for Bakole, yeah. Yeah, he should be in some decent fights right now. Like, when you beat somebody like Yoka, who was highly touted, you deserve, like, some decent opportunities. But, you know, that's boxing, innit? That's boxing, you know. Don't always get what you deserve necessarily, unfortunately. You don't always get what you deserve. If Tommy's allowed to bring his family, he may stand a chance. Yeah. If there's people that couldn't get Adolf's obvious sarcasm, then I don't know what to say. There might be somebody. There might be somebody. Yeah, he should have, really. Yeah, he should have fought Hergovich, J-Dav. You're right. I don't know why he turned that down. I don't know why he turned that fight down, because he's not really going to get an opportunity else like otherwise if he's not like mandated or he's not in a good position like that within a sanctioning body. But there you go. You know, maybe that's Billy Nelson. Maybe that's Billy Nelson. James Tennyson knocks out Tyson Fury. He actually retired now, James Tennyson. He was a fun fighter while he lasted. But never had the chin for it, really. James Tennyson had power, but never had the chin. To be fair, Nelson made the right move. The Yoka win was just as good a win as Hergovich would have been pre-fight. But the thing is, was the Mando status? Yeah, that's the thing. That's a big carrot to turn down. But yeah, it was a good win for Bakole. That's probably the worst prediction I made this year. I know Yoka was favourite and people were picking him to win, but still, like the way he won that fight made my pick look so bad. To be fair though, the IBF that was IBF, so the IBF are usually pretty good when it comes to like ordering Mandos. To be fair, Jake's brother Logan went the distance with Mayweather, and no score was announced. So basically, a draw. Canelo lost to Mayweather. If that doesn't tell you that the Paul DNA owns Canelo, then I don't know. You might be right. You might be onto something. YouTube boxing. Yeah, IBF best of a bad bunch. Yeah, at least they order Mandos somewhat regularly, and they'll give their Mandos actual shots. You know, it's a shame we never got to see the Geordie and Irish Golovkins collide in the ring. Truly one of the greatest shames in modern boxing, and ironically, that would have been a good fight as well. That would have been a good fight. I'd have taken Lewis Ritson, but it would have been a good fight. My bad, Del. I had Mario Dizer confused with the other German, Andreas Sidon, who knocked out Danny Williams when he was in his 50s. Oh, yeah, that dude. I know who that dude is. Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy, man. I guess that a guy like that must just be doing it for the love of boxing, and fair play to him if that's the case. Also, Jake, in his own words, is 2 inches bigger than Bivol and 20 pounds heavier, and Bivol also beat Canelo. Yeah, it was Dizer who KO'd Afolabi. Yeah, Afolabi. Yeah. Yeah, that whole thing was weird as well. Like that was blatantly a fixed fight. I think they even literally wrote about that on some certain news publications. I don't know what the deal with that guy was. Really strange. Really strange. Oh, I nearly put you in timeout there, John Jones. Sorry about that. Don't care, John. I really don't care. Either way, we're fucked. Either way, you know, doesn't really matter to us. Our lives are going to be the same regardless. Our lives are going to be the same regardless. According to Google, Dazer is a self-made millionaire, similar to the Joe Fournier situation, maybe. Yeah, that's probably exactly what it is. And he probably paid Afolabi a little bit on the side, which I don't blame on it. And honestly, I don't blame him because like Afolabi would have never made any serious money in his career. Yeah, WBA are super bad, and it's for regular titles. Yeah, it's just fucking too much, isn't it? Just muddies the waters. Muddies the waters. No, I don't think so. Adelaide, he's a strong guy, but like I don't really see much ability there with David Adelaide. He's got a bit of power. He's pretty strong, but he looks pretty basic. Yeah, Joe Fournier. Yeah, he's a 40-year-old supposed billionaire. Yeah, yeah, fought on the Jake Paul undercard. Yeah, David Hayes' best mate. Like that was a fixed fight, you know. The David Hay Joe Fournier fight. David Hay was basically just moving around, putting out his lead hand, was barely throwing punches, and he won on points. He wasn't going to hurt his mate. It was basically a cash grab, wasn't it? It was just a cash grab. Okay. Here's a bizarre side note. Sidon's second pro fight was against Nikolai Valiev, according to BoxRec. Are you serious? A career retrospective review, Nordic, for Andreas Sidon. A no contest against Nikolai Valiev. That's probably the best result of his career. And it went 6 rounds, according to this. It went to the sixth round. I'd pay a premier price to see Boris Johnson trade punches with a kid he knocked over when he played rugby. I'd give it a watch. Yeah, I think he's just enjoying himself. I think he's done the right thing, really. He's got out of the limelight. Just completely got out. I don't blame him. I really don't blame him. Dave Allen, by far, bro. Dave Allen, by far. Not even close. Not even a debate, bro. It's Dave Allen. Any other answer is not acceptable. I'm going to have to end it, by the way, guys. I'm going to end a little bit early because I'm desperate for a shit. Hopefully, though, you guys have a good weekend. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, and I'll try and stream. I'll try and get a couple more streams up and do it a bit more regularly. But yeah, thank you guys for dropping by. Thank you for the contributions, also much appreciated. And yeah, see you guys on the next one, guys. Peace.